Here we are. Number one, first of all, for all of you who participated in Friday night's event, I just love you so much for showing up and being there. Thank you. I want to thank Carlotta Scott and Darylyn Alexander and Ann Mancuso and all the people who showed up to help with the pizza and the salad, and it was so great. The place was packed. We had a great community dialogue about racial healing. And if you haven't seen the documentary yet entitled 13th, then please take a look at that documentary. It's to educate us, to enlighten us, and to inspire us to do the right thing in our time. I also, yes sir.
Margaret, we want to, everybody that came here Friday night, we want to thank Margaret for slaving over that stove, making it all that
Actually, I just picked it up. Okay, so we want to give thanks that we are a community who can give ourselves over to asking the most important questions. What do we do in our time in this place with what we have? And so that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about being in the abundant flow, living in the abundant flow. And usually people think that when we talk on a message like this, we're talking about money. And we're talking about so much more than money. We're talking about the flow of life energy moving through us and around us. It is so important that Jesus talked about it. He called it the river of life. And we can't get away from it. We're in it. It's in us. We can't get away from it. And yet, we're so adorable. We will try to cut ourselves off from the flow of spirit. So turn to somebody and say, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't try to cut yourself off from the flow of spirit. It cannot be done. It cannot be done. So, Eric Butterworth, one of our most well-known unity ministers, he was already well-known with his book, Discover the Power Within You, and then you know who, Oprah Winfrey, came along and made an announcement. This is my favorite book, and suddenly the whole world knows about this idea of Discover the Power Within You. Maya Angelou counted Eric Butterworth as one of her greatest spiritual teachers. So, Eric Butterworth, he said something really simple. He said, don't go through life, grow through life.
Amen.
So every once in a while somebody will say to me, I always wished I'd gone to college. And I said, well, if you want to go to college, you can always go. So I always felt like I missed something. I think we miss something when we don't see life as the university, when we don't see life as the great curriculum, because it really is. And we've often missed that. We've often missed that all around us, every second, every moment of the day, life is bringing us the curriculum that we need to wake up. So here's an idea for us to try on, ponder, look at. The idea is everything that happens in our life is meant to be a part of our curriculum of waking up.
Yeah. Even that.
Yeah, even that thing you just thought of. Yeah. Even those things that you'd like to take a black magic marker and just scratch it off your list of life experiences. Everything that happens in our lives, this is a new thought idea, you don't have to receive it if you don't want to. That everything is meant for sacred purpose in our awakening. And the sooner we allow that to gestate in us, the easier it will become for us to be in this time of great shift. Okay, so Eric Butterworth also said this: the whole universe, excuse me one second. Every once in a while, you just got to check on things. people need help, they need help. Doesn't matter if a service is going on, right? Okay, so Eric Butterworth said this: the whole universe is on your side. Let's try that on. The whole universe is on my side. Life is forever biased on the side of healing, on the side of overcoming, on the side of success. When you get yourself centered in the universal flow, you become synchronized with this divine bias for good. So there's an assumption here. And again, you don't have to receive it. I don't have to receive it if I don't want to. But what if it's true? What if there's a divine bias for our good, a divine bias for our awakening, a universe that supports us always towards our good, unfolding awakening? What if that's true?
Hallelujah.
If we act as if it is true, I have an idea that we will see more good unfold if we accept this idea as true. So, this idea of divine bias for good. Butterworth asked us to consider this, that it may be that the word flow gave rise to the word flower. Isn't that fun?
Mm-hmm.
Flow, flower. Look at the beautiful flowers. Because he said a flower is a beautiful symbol of unobstructed flow of life. You know, I love to go flower shopping and I always look for the perennials because I love when they come back up. And I especially love it these days when I can find heirloom seeds and heirloom seedlings, because I know the seeds that come from those herbs and vegetables, they're going to give me seeds that will grow again next year. I no longer look for seeds that are for one season only. That's just not right. And there's a whole thing behind that. We'll save that to another Sunday. But since it's Earth Day weekend, people ask, what can we do? That's one simple thing you can do. Shop for heirloom seeds. And when you plant your vegetables and your squash grows and you save some of the seeds from those squashes and you plant them again next year. We don't have to be dependent on the big seed companies who are trying to take our beautiful seeds away from us.
Amen.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, I didn't mean to go there. So, he said, I love this. Butterworth said, you can trust a universe that creates flowers. Isn't that great? You can trust a universe that creates beautiful sunsets and sunrises and trees and birds and bumblebees. You can trust a universe that examples ongoing life nonstop, over and over. Even when life gets destroyed, nature will find a way to revive and renew and come again. So nature is constantly showing us things. Thomas Berry, one of our great teachers of this century, he said that we, you and I, we are the flowers of spirit. But what we do is we stop reproducing the seeds of consciousness that are required for this world to be transformed. We get complacent. Well, I'll say I, not you. It is we. Oh. We don't want to be complacent. Turn to somebody and say, don't do that. We want to be the flowers of the universe. We want to re-seed consciousness that is biased towards good. That's what we want to re-seed into the universe. We don't want to keep planting seeds of division or separateness. We want to be flowers of God consciousness. That's the abundant flow. The abundant flow is ever healing, ever renewing, ever regenerating. Even when we feel like we can't keep doing it. Friday night, we made another shift in this spiritual community. We stepped out in another way. We've done great stepping out before. Friday night was another kind of stepping out. Let there be racial healing now. Let it be now. Let us take care of the business that's required for us to have equity and justice in the world. Let us do what needs to be done. Spike Lee said it, just do the right thing. Come on, just do the right thing. So, talking about flowers or flowers. Look at the beautiful field of flowers. Y'all know this story, the daffodil principle. There's a place in California, we've been there. It's only 5 acres. It's not like a Mayor Baba Center. It's only 5 little acres. But this woman, starting back in the 50s, planted her daffodil bulbs. And now they sweep down the hills and cross the meadow, and people come from all over the world to see what they estimate to be now 1 million daffodil bulbs in a 5-acre plot. Now this is amazing. So it's on their private land. So people come traipsing through every year, looking at these daffodils. So on the front porch of their very modest house, there's a sign which says, answers to your questions. 50,000 bulbs is what she herself planted. 1 at a time by 1 woman, 2 hands, 2 feet, and very good brain. That's what she wrote. And she began it in 1958. And after 50,000 bulbs, she stopped and they just took over. So and then they wrote a book called The Daffodil Principle, meaning 1 step at a time you start to build a dream. You plant 1 bulb. You make 1 brick. Put up 1 room. You build a dream by doing 1 step at a time. We don't have to start out planting 1 million bulbs, but you start with 1. And you plant the seed. And other people came after her and helped with this garden. See, when you start a garden that's guided by Spirit, you won't be the only one planting in the garden. There'll be other people who come to plant seeds of consciousness there as well. So, gardens are important. I thought it was good to speak of this on Earth Day weekend. Because what connects me with divine flow really isn't the numbers in my bank account. It's nice. It helps. What really connects me with divine flow is being in nature. And that can be as simple as sitting with my little pot of oregano, or with my miracle tree that popped up and almost overnight grew into a lovely oak. Or it can be sitting on the ocean shore and listening to the waves, watching the waves come in and out. It can be listening to the birds. About 4 a.m. every morning I open up my door and I listen to the birds waking up. They have the most beautiful meditation song. You know, we connect with one presence to be a flower, to be a flower expressing one presence. Is the video next, Miss Weston? We don't know, do we?
You
Oh, yes, we
switched
do.
it.
So, okay, I'm gonna hear. Okay, so if y'all haven't seen it yet, this is the most divine thing, and I love Japan for doing this. I heard a scientist on NPR talking about this almost epidemic of Asperger's, autism, ADHD, learning disabilities. And this psychiatrist was telling the listening audience, what we really need to do is get children outside again, where they can run and jump and climb and play and breathe fresh air. And the commentator, I'll never forget, she said, you mean we have to have a psychiatrist tell us this? It seems so. one presence through nature, we've been a little confused because Spirit has given so many clues in nature of how to revive and renew and reseed ourselves in healthy ways. We get clues all the time. Somewhere along the way, we stop seeing the importance of looking at those clues and paying attention. So Japan, I just love it. They've started this phenomenon called forest bathing. You've heard of sunbathing. This is forest bathing. So let's take a look at what our Japanese brothers and sisters are up to. We ready? Can get the lights? Why don't you just hit, there you go. Or you are filled with anxiety, or you have children who are depressed or even suicidal. The simplest things can take us out of the dismay into the core being where we can reconnect or feel our connection. We never disconnect, but we feel our connection with one present. Into the all. It's the simplest things, y'all. So, we've been looking for this new Unity location, and we've gone from looking at buildings only or buildings with bigger parking lots, more space. We've seen many different sites, buildings, and now we're looking at a piece of property that 5 to 7 acres, depending on how we want to consider it. But for the first time, we're closest to our vision for New Unity location than we've been before. And my heart is so grateful and glad that we've captured the part of the vision that includes connecting with nature. Let nature be a part of our experience of one present. We're not just looking at a bigger building with more square footage. We're not just looking at a building with a professional kitchen. We're not just looking for a site with a bigger parking lot. We're looking for the experience of connection with one presence and a place where our children can have a safe spiritual experience that includes honoring and celebrating all life. Is that okay? Yeah. I am so grateful and glad that we're even considering it. And this is why it's so important, because the Earth curriculum has held the mystery and the answers all along. And we got so carried away with our book learning that we forgot about heart learning. So I love book learning. Y'all know I love book learning. But we want to stay connected with the priorities. So I want to honor Thomas Berry today. And I don't know if Joanna is here. She's friends with the nephew of Thomas Berry. And Thomas Berry was an earth philosopher, teacher, born 1914, died 2009. He was an environmentalist and ecologist, happened to be a Catholic brother. And in his estimation, the earth is our university, and all the clues we need are given to us in paying attention. Now, he said his perspective, you may not agree, he said the two biggest failures of the 20th century was education and religion.
I'll go with that.
Uh-oh. So, in talking about that, he had a couple of things to say. He said, we are called to awaken images of healing for the human race. That's what we're called to do. And he said, some of our images that we've been holding for the last 100 years have been about consumerism, and we have lost sight of the priority of taking care of our earth. Because guess what? You may not like that group over there, or that culture over there, or that skin color over there, but we're all on the same spaceship. So we're going to be in trouble if we destroy the spaceship. So he said, we are called, you and I, you may not talk about your life as having a calling, but guess what? It does. And he talks about the calling that all of us have to hold images for the healing of our human family. And he also talked about our collective psychosis. It's not bad enough that you have one all on your own. We've got the collective psychosis, which he says is our split from all other life, disconnection from the rest of nature. Have you ever had this experience? Have you ever been sitting on your deck or out on the beach, and you hear a songbird and you just start loving the song and appreciating and just giving that little bird all of your attention? Have you noticed what happens? They sing more and they sing louder. Do that with your trees. Love on your trees and watch how they grow. Love on your flower garden and watch how it grows. Love on your children and see what happens. But see, it's not just the parents and the families that are called to love them, it's all of us. So our collective psychosis, split from the rest of nature. But the reason that's a problem is because we're a community of beings. It's not us and them. Right? So let me tell you about Thomas Berry. Thomas Berry, at the age of 7, announced to his family that he saw that consumerism would destroy the earth. He was 7, and he was born in 1914. So the age of 7, consumerism is going to destroy my planet, he said. And then at age 11, he went out into a field, had some wild lilies. He was listening to the crickets. He was listening to the birds. He was watching the sun in the sky. And he said everything went still and quiet and peaceful. And he got it. That was his epiphany. That he was one with the energy of the universe. It didn't happen in a cathedral. It didn't happen in a group of people who were telling him what to believe. He had his own epiphany, his own experience in a little field in Greensboro, North Carolina. And then at the age of 20, he became a Catholic brother. He went all over the world. He studied many religions, many cultures. What Thomas Berry brought to the world is something that a lot of us are still figuring out. He told us that if we're not paying attention to the indigenous peoples, if we're not paying attention to the shamanistic cultures, if we're not paying attention to the nature religions, if we're not paying attention to those who are practicing beliefs from thousands of years ago where they see themselves as not only companions but helpers to keep the planet safe. If we're not paying attention to that, we, the ones who aren't paying attention, are going to drive the spaceship into extinction. So, not to bring us down or anything, but when people say to me, I don't know what to do, sometimes I just want to slap them, which is allowed as a minister, evidently. Because as far as I can tell, we all have something to do. If you can't find anything to do, I'll give you a list. There are so many groups to get involved with, so many causes, so many issues to align with, so many kinds of legislation, so many kinds of events that need to be attended and need to be attended to. There's one coming up in our church, you'll hear more about it, a mentoring program, a reading program. Thomas Berry said this. He said, mentors make all the difference. And he had a mentor. He really had a mentor. His mentor was Teilhard de Chardin.
Oh, God.
And if you don't know who that is, Google. Lots to read about Teilhard. He says that our children have to have mentors. Simply mentoring them to know their brilliance and their wonder and their light. So we help kids learn how to read. Did you know that kids who don't know how to read by 3rd grade are figured into the statistics of how many beds they're going to need in the prisons about 15 years later? Let's take a deep breath on that. Yeah. So when people say to me, I don't know what to do, I just don't know what to do. 20 years later, I don't know what to do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So you will have your list of what to attend to. I have mine. This church community has it. But today we want to look at this idea that the simple connection with each other is deepened and heightened when we have our connection with Source, when we have our connection with one presence. That I'm here to tell you, it's been researched, it's been scientifically proven. If we spend enough time in the quiet, in the stillness, with nature, we're going to be more plugged into what needs to be done and how we can do it. Somebody said to me a few weeks ago, there's so many problems now, I don't think we're going to be able to figure it out. And I said, pshaw, pshaw. We're so brilliant. We don't even know yet how brilliant we are. And you know what's awakening the brilliance? The bigger problems. The bigger issues, the bigger dilemmas, the bigger crises are awakening in us the bigger brilliance. Isn't that interesting? Is that interesting?
Yeah.
But it's not to make it too hard. Simply fall into love with nature again. Simply fall into love with the brilliance of the children again. Simply fall into love with the brilliance of the human heart again. Simply fall in love with a flower again. Simply fall in love with your little pot of oregano again. I remember the first time I saw chlorophyll moving through the veins of a leaf with a microscope, and I was in awe.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing, this universe. So here we are. We can either increase the collective psychosis, that's a choice, or we can determine that we are a community with all other beings and open ourselves to knowing how to care for the earth and be in that abundant flow. The nature's showing us all the time how to be in abundant flow. So if you believe it, you feel it, and you want it to be true, I invite you to say, I am a flower in the universe. Say that, I'm a flower in the universe. Where
are you going?
We're having doodling.
No, not me.
So let's take a deep breath while our wonderful music team is reassembling. We don't have Paula to help us here this morning. Anybody anybody want to sum up what we've just been talking about?
The universe is
Get
God.
back to nature. What?
The Rumi says, universe is God, love is the key.
Universe is God, love is the key. What else? Peace. We're all connected. Be the change you want to see in the world. And be a flower in God's universe, or a flower, reseeding consciousness. R-E-S-E-E-D-I-N-G. Reseeding higher spiritual consciousness. Because otherwise we're reseeding something else. Let's take a deep breath. We're going to go into a song singing about our light. And you would like to receive divine offering, is that true? Are you at me too? Okay.